Alright guys, how are you all doing? I hope you are having an excellent Friday, September 20th, 2019. Welcome to another episode of Music of Destruction. So tonight I have another deadly old school death metal review for you. That's right, fuckers. We are having a look at the 1989 OSDM classic that is AUTOPSY's Severed Survival, released in 1989 on Peaceville Records. Now, the band members consist of the following members. We have Chris Reifert on drums and vocals, Eric Cutler on guitars and vocals as well, Danny Corrales on guitar, and Joe Allen on bass. Make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and turn on the bell for all notifications. I would really appreciate it. If you want to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, search up Music of Destruction. If you'd like to support the channel and get access to my exclusive patron-only podcasts, The Seed, then consider supporting through the Patreon page. Go to patreon.com/Music of Destruction. You get access to exclusive content like The Seed, as well as other perks and rewards for supporting the channel. Thank you very much for your support over there on the Patreon page. Now, from the moment you hit the play button and the album opens with Charred Remains, it sounds like a bone saw cutting through flesh, and the guitar continues grinding away in that OSDM low-tuned frenzy that Autopsy became famous for. Now, one of the standout things about Autopsy is the goddamned production. It's putrid, it's filthy, and it's disgusting and vile. And the bass is so high up in the mix that it literally shakes your whole goddamned house as you blast the album. Drumming is top-notch on this album, as well as it blasts you senseless and keeps the brutal beating going as you navigate through this insane asylum of manic surgery and severed fucking limbs. This goddamn album has the sounds and atmosphere of an insane asylum, all ran by a surgeon gone horribly insane. Riffs cascade and carry you through twisted, winding, gore-splattered rooms and decapitated corpses and screams of tortured patients that have been locked away in this insane asylum and madhouse that is Autopsy's Severed Survival. Next up, we have Service for a Vacant Coffin that opens with a really mournful funeral dirge of a guitar riff with some slow, doom-laden, plodding drums, and all backed up by that sick fucking bass from Joe Allen, and it's absolutely fucking incredible, man. The tempo keeps things slowed down for a little bit as you gasp for air amidst the corpses and blood. However, it picks up once again like saws cutting through flesh, with no regard for the suffering and terror that this album encapsulates so fucking well. Twisted visions of gore and violence marked by a funeral of mangled bodies give one visions of nightmarish, devious acts of torture and violence all over this track as well. And I mean, it's Autopsy. It's perfect. Drums, bass, and guitar all soar at an incredible pace, and Chris Reifert's vocals on this album are absolutely disturbing, vile, and fucking insane. They really are. He literally reminds me of an insane mad surgeon gone horribly fucking psychotic as he navigates this demented ward of violent, disgusting acts with his vocals and drumming. The putrid stench of decay and death keeps the album moving as it keeps on pummeling you with brutality and with that OSDM approach that so many acts of this time period were proud to fucking perform. Next up, we have Disembowel, and just like the song title suggests, this definitely is the atmosphere and visions that I get from this track. The sickening putridity and stench of rot and violence dominate this track as the guitaring and drumming pummel you into a bloody heap of withered and dismembered limbs, leaving you lifeless on the fucking ground. Those vocals, once again by Chris Reifert, are so goddamn unique, and his drumming all throughout this album is just godly, as is all of the instrumentation from each of these psychopaths as they continue to pummel your skull and body and senses into complete oblivion and pieces. I mean, holy shit. Can an album get any better than an OSDM classic like Severed Survival from Autopsy? The answer is no. No, it cannot. Now, before you scorn me in the comments section for this, do not worry. I absolutely still worship the godfathers of death metal, of Jeff Becerra and Possessed, obviously. And I will be getting to the absolute timeless classic that is Seven Churches very, very soon. However, we cannot overlook Autopsy, even in the midst of legends and pioneers of the genre like Possessed. And I personally feel that this band does not get nearly enough recognition in the underground death metal scene. That's how I feel about it. That's always been my opinion with Autopsy. Alright guys, so let's check out Gasping for Air. And we are back, and what can I say about this one? It's an absolute beast of a fucking track. It starts up with amazing percussive onslaught before seeping into the putrid slow filth crawl of a doom-laden guitar work before exploding and suffocating you in blood. Now, the tom work on this track is excellent and makes you think about an anxiety-ridden, insane state as the events that unfold this track begin to reveal themselves as the blood from your organs fills your lungs and you begin to literally gasp for air amidst the death and foulness of this track. What an instant, brutal OSDM classic right here, guys. Now, next up is Ridden with Disease, and we're going to check out this track as well for you. It definitely serves up a disgusting, vile, plague-ridden guitar riff that grinds and slices everything in audible range. The sick drumming and bass work are alive and well on this track as well, all while Chris Reifert's screams and tortured bellows sound like a fucking madman gone out of his mind with literal insanity and dementia. The rotting atmosphere of this track is very much intact as the room fills with a disgusting plague disease-ridden stench of all things nasty and disgusting. But I mean, this is fucking death metal done right. So let's check out Ridden with Disease. And we are back, and of course, another putrid, disgusting, vile OSDM classic with Ridden with Disease. Insane drumming, great vocals, amazing bass and guitar work, and that bass is mixed so well that it literally adds such a putrid, disgusting atmosphere to it that grinds. It grinds in such a raw fashion that you often forget that this was produced in a studio. It literally sounds like a DIY production, but is just clean enough to let you know that it was studio produced by Peaceville Records. I mean, this is when death metal was dangerous and actually fucking stood for something, and that was to completely horrify and terrify you. And this album sure as hell manages to do everything that Autopsy were going for, and it's so goddamn good that you cannot help but love it. Now, I don't care if you are a new age metal fan or not. This is an essential goddamned OSDM classic, and you owe it to yourself to experience this fucking album. Blood, guts, and chainsaws and hellish screams announced the coming of Severed Survival, and Autopsy's debut album here, combined with the growing Swedish death metal sound and the emerging death metal sound, really all come together to carve out a bloody piece of history alongside greats like Obituary and Necrophagia and Possessed and Morbid Angel and Deicide and Incantation and Immolation and many other OSDM classic bands that I can name. And I mean, just go out and buy Autopsy. I could sit here for hours and go on and on about how great this fucking album is. You owe it to yourself to support these amazing gentlemen right here from Autopsy. Truly a timeless classic, and something that I will be listening to for years and years and years to fucking come. Absolute amazing. Buy it right now. So now we come to the final verdict for Autopsy's Severed Survival, and it's going to get a 10 out of 10. I can't score it any lower for everything it does right, for the groundbreaking benchmark that this album set alongside Possessed and Death. I know that. And Chris Reifert, he used to play drums on Death's Scream Bloody Gore before coming over to Autopsy, so that's really fucking cool as well. There is going to be some Death reviews coming. I don't own any of Death's albums. I'm going to be getting some, of course. But yeah, pick up this album right now. I want to give some shout-outs to some really awesome friends of mine. Shadows of Death Records. Go to shadowsofdeathrecords.com/media. Check out his roster. One of the highlight bands on his roster right now is Slave Pit. They are absolutely killer. I'm going to be doing an interview with them soon. Also, a shout-out to Metal Bands Chronicles, my future podcast partner for Brothers from Hell, which is coming in 2020. Also, a shout out to Just Joshing YT and Paranormal Video Gamer. As always, I'd like to thank you so much for watching tonight and spending your night with me for this review. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, turn on the bell. Have yourself an awesome night, and remember, stay fucking metal. We will see you in the next video. Cheers.